Hello, everyone, and welcome. So, we got that MisterE today, and let me just say this now. I'm really excited for this episode. This has been working for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It's been kind of working on this for a little bit. Isn't that right, MisterE?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, that's right. I know there was that point where you took a little bit of a break and we had to reschedule until after the first of the year.
Yeah.
But I am glad to be here.
I'm happy you get to be here. Thank you so much for joining.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so let's talk about when you started playing Destiny. When did you start to play Destiny? Gotta ask that $1 million question.
So I started with Destiny back on launch night of Destiny 1. I actually bribed my boss to let me leave early to go pick up an Xbox One and a copy of Destiny 1. And I started that night on a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. So, it's glad to meet another Destiny 1 player. I got into Destiny 1 by my brother. He was playing the beta, and I was able to actually get the beta from him, too. I don't know how, because you had to get, a code from that. So, I'm really glad to meet another Destiny beta person.
Sadly, I never got to play the beta.
Oh.
Because I wasn't on PlayStation.
Okay. Not bad. I thought it was the beta. So, what is one thing that you really miss from Destiny 1? What was your favorite part, actually, from Destiny 1? Let's start with that.
It's honestly got to be the way the Crucible felt.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. It was a lot better back in the day rather than right now. Granted, we did have the meta, such as the Icebreaker meta. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I missed the felt of it. It wasn't, so competitive as it right now, but it was still really good. So, with that being said, what is something you miss from Destiny 1 that hasn't made it inside Destiny 2 yet?
See, with that one, it's got to be the SRL, Sparrow Racing League.
Take my heart away. I miss that too. Oh my god. I remember playing with my cousin at the time. And I remember it was my first time actually doing that competition was with my cousin. And and it was just a fun time. I actually really want that back. Bring it back. Take away Gambit and bring that back.
Sparrow Racing League was very refreshing from the constant monotony of strikes and constantly getting your butt handed to you by a self-res warlock in Crucible.
Speaking of self-res warlock, that brings up a question I wanted to ask. How did you feel when they did not bring it back inside Destiny 2?
Not gonna lie, I was a little surprised. But I also understand that they didn't due to balancing reasons.
Oh, think about how overpowered it was. To get away with dying in res, think about it, back in when raids.
I mean, with raids, I'd say that's one thing, because it saved a lot of raid teams. But when it comes to the PvP and stuff, it was self-res as soon as you turned your back on them, and then just pelted you with grenades.
It was it was a little tough back in the day to finish it. To do certain stuff without res warlocks.
It honestly was. I mean, because that is what would save your skin, and even Nightfalls. Because just regular Nightfalls back then, you would get kicked to orbit if your team wiped.
Yeah, it wasn't playing around like it was back here. What was your favorite class or main class to play inside Destiny 1? We never went over that. What was your...
So, I honestly flip-flopped a lot.
Okay.
But the one that I stuck with the most, it had to be a Blade Dancer Hunter.
Ooh, that actually isn't bad. I love that. Unfortunately, my main character is still to this day is my main Titan. You'll find me with my solar hammer inside Destiny 2. Save myself with Loreley and my hammer. That's all I gotta say. I'm still a Destiny beta Titan main.
See, nowadays I do main the Titan class. Usually you'll catch me in strikes, turning myself into a living missile and slamming into the final boss of the strike.
For me, sometimes Thunder Crush isn't enough. I actually prefer my hammer because it's like a security blanket. When you're scared and dying, what do? Throw your hammer. There's your health regen. So, that's why I like Titans like that. How did you feel when they actually came out with release times? Because back in Destiny 1, we didn't have the release times we have today. If you remember, it was whenever they felt like it, releasing content.
So, with letting us know when stuff was going to be coming out, it let me try and work my schedule around actually being able to be there right when stuff was going to come out. Just like with Lightfall now, I took some time from work on that day so I can be able to play Lightfall day one.
Oh, that's what I did too. I made sure for my college classes, and yes, I was actually thinking about if I could not take my classes, if there was not a Tuesday off, I was going to do it. I was going to do it. I was going to be a dumbass, and I was going to skip college to play Lightfall. And I'm really happy that they gave us that opportunity. And I think we're kind of spoiled right now. I'm not going to lie. I think we're spoiled. Being able to know when content releases, getting to know when all this information comes out is kind of spoiled thinking back on it. Do you think we're a little bit spoiled compared to where we were?
I could say yes and no. The no part, it's because they're wanting content creators to be able to make content and have stuff ready for that big release to help drive more people to the game. But when it comes to yes, it's because I feel like now we know a projected time. We're going to try and hold Bungie to that time. And, if something goes wrong to delay it, then people are going to throw a fit.
Let's take what happened Beyond Light. When they added that 3 extra months to, I think it was season of arrivals. They added 3 extra more months. And I don't know if you were on Twitter at the time, it turned everyone against each other. And they said it was because of COVID. They couldn't do much. I remember reading an article about it. They actually scrapped part of Beyond Light. There was supposed to be more Drifter and Eris stuff. But with the COVID, they actually had to delay it. Why do you think Drifter and Eris were in the beginning scene and then never seen again?
Well, I know there was a little bit of the story where they were at the camp with Elsie.
Yeah, but there was supposed to be way more to it, according to what people were saying.
And see, I can believe that. I can also see it as maybe they were hoping there was going to be more.
What I can't find, I don't remember the article titled, but Bungie actually, one of the Bungie says that they actually had to scrap it. That's why they were at the camp, is because they were supposed to play a bigger role. But they didn't have time to do it because of COVID, and the community was getting upset. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. Like I said, I don't have the article right in front of me anymore, so.
I mean, I guess I could see Elsie, Eris, and the Drifter as kind of like the dark vanguard.
Ooh.
So, like, Eris would be the dark subclasses Warlock, Drifter would be dark subclasses Hunter, and then Elsie would be dark subclasses Titan Vanguard.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, let's go move on to the next question. What is something that you think is the biggest issue that needs to be fixed inside the Destiny 2?
Freaking connection issues, man.
Okay.
It's gotta be connection issues.
Why do you say connection issues? If you don't mind me asking.
Think back to every time you've played Crucible. How often have you had somebody dead to rights, as in they were just like a melee strike away from just being a ghost,
And
then they instant transmission to the other side of the map and you're dead?
Yeah. I agree. I was hoping what something I feel like they need to fix the most is PvP and balancing that. Granted, we did just get a lot of changes, but I also, with my PvP idea, that they need to focus on PvP. They need to focus on one thing rather than focusing on Gambit, Crucible, and Strikes. They need to focus on one thing. And I understand that Bungie is trying when it comes to PvP, especially since people tend to fight over stupid stuff. Like on the last episode, we were talking about how Bungie, people didn't like Rift when it first came out. Rift Iron Banner, when it first came out, because they said it was too hard to counteract the runner. And you played against 6 stacks. They tried it with this Iron Banner. And they said it's impossible because of Titan bubbles. They're trying, and every time that they try something, people like to go back to the old way. Like they took away, it used to be connection-based matchmaking or skill-based. They said they wanted skill-based matchmaking back. And I think Bungie's having a hard time balancing the Crucible because every time they try something new and try to do what the community wants, they get greedy and stupid. And I still think they need to fix the Crucible, especially since We all know the meta. Any thoughts on that?
Well, see, the meta is going to be getting a massive shift here in about a month. Because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be changing, like having your perks being passive, armor being able to have just about any mod slotted onto it. Things are going to be shifting up meta-wise a lot.
Yep. Which is going to be interesting to see. I'm really excited to see these changes.
Oh, I 110% agree. I was watching one of Dato's videos going over some of the changes that we're going to be getting, and they had me giddy as a schoolgirl.
Yeah. It's going to be... Because this is them trying to do something. I'm really excited for the loadouts. The loadout changes coming, where you actually can have an in-game loadout.
Yes. It's going to be a massive quality of life update.
Yeah. What I'm kind of worried about, and I don't know if Bungie clarified, is what happens if you're mid-activity and try to apply it. Would it still auto-apply?
So I think it's kind of like what we have now.
With DIM?
Where you can swap stuff around as long as your equipment is not locked.
Okay. Because
So
I know with DIM, they do the same thing. They just bring it on your character, but since you're not in orbit, it won't work.
See, I think it'll work if you're mid-activity, but it's like I said, if you're in like a Grandmaster or a Master Nightfall and your equipment's locked,
it won't
then
work.
It will not work.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. Because then you can just make a quick loadout, fix your mods, and GG's. So, next question that I have for you. We were discussing this earlier, prior to the episode. What do you miss from the content vault? I gotta ask. Out of everything that's in the content vault from Destiny 1, Destiny 2, what do you miss the most?
Man, out of the DCV, honestly, I wouldn't mind them bringing back Titan. Titan was a cool, I can't say planet because it's a moon, but it was a cool environment. It mixed the methane oceans with, a decaying city.
Exactly. And it mixed a little bit of Destiny 1 with, because you got to see the Dreadnought.
Yeah, you could see where the Dreadnought should have been sitting in Saturn's rings.
And then you also saw the Warm Gods. You saw a little bit of Warm Gods, too, if you remember correctly.
I don't know if that was ever confirmed to be the Worm Gods, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like sitting in the spawn area and kind of waiting for the humps to come up in the water.
Yeah. I miss a little Titan. I miss one of the greatest missions. Whisper of the Warm, 0 Hour. Because it was fun. You trying to do that time-gated, trying to master your jumps. And you had this scary guy named Trevor. And you had to try to hide from him. No missions had that thing where you could hide and stuff.
Yeah, those are two very iconic missions that, honestly, they could probably try and bring back as strikes.
What I would like to see is reuse the area but put an exotic quest in it. I know it's a repeat area, but I would like to see something used in those areas. I don't want them to make it as a strike, because it wasn't part of the mission. I like the jumping part and the timer and stuff. That was the key elements of it. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if they'd ever use those areas for new exotics. Even if they gave us in like the legacy tab of the director, we had an option in there to like replay those missions. That'd be cool. Or like I said, I'd even be cool with seeing them back as strikes.
Maybe a specialty strike where you still have the timer and still have to do everything. Right? Maybe you do like a playlist where they actually have a timer on how long you can beat it.
And then if you can't get it within that time frame, you get kicked back to orbit.
Yeah. And maybe make it as a Grandmaster, too. Right?
See, those are, some really good options, some really good possibilities.
I gotta ask this, which raid from the content vault inside the Destiny 2 do you miss?
Well, the only one that I did that is in the Destiny content vault for Destiny 2 specifically would be the Leviathan.
Ooh, I gotta mention that one. Because I was actually gonna answer my own question, is I missed the Levy raid. It was a fun time. I think after day one, Gauntlet, when we were trying to teach new players and get a team together, the biggest, hardest challenge was Gauntlet. And I still miss Gauntlet to this day. And I like when they brought it back, but at the same time, it wasn't like that nostalgic. You couldn't do the Tony Hawk thing at Gauntlet. I don't know if you remember the Gauntlet thing where you used to go on top of the, where you come up in the center and you used to skate around in the circle part.
Yep, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, they didn't bring that back, and I was hoping that they would when they brought back it as the Haunted season. But unfortunately, it's not there. Couple more questions.
They did a little thing with it, with that area, for one of the character missions in Season of the Haunted, but other than that, you couldn't even get to that area.
Yeah, and those little things, I think, really made the raid the raid. So, I wanted to get some stuff on the season with you. How do you feel about this season?
Oh, I'm loving it.
That's good. I do hate how it's a little bit of a copy and paste and stuff. How you're basically re-entering kind of the same thing, but I also like how it's closing the Rasputin storyline from back what happened in Season of Arrivals. Remember when he was Darkness?
Yeah, so that's what I like about the season as well. It's diving into not necessarily what just happened during Season of Arrivals, but learning about Rasputin and Anna's relationship prior to the collapse.
You bring up a good topic. Like, we finally got some clarification that Rasputin did not shoot the Traveler. Because over the years, it became controversy that Rasputin shot the Traveler and made it stay. But now we found out that Anna convinced him not to shoot the Traveler. How did you feel about them actually shutting that down a couple years later after it was been rumored around the community?
So, I'm actually glad that they clarified that, just simply due to the fact that we found out Clovis wanted Rasputin to shoot down the Traveler. But thanks to Anna and the humanity he gained from her, he realized it was wrong. He decided not to do it.
How did you feel about the last mission where Rasputin said that Rasputin could not tell Anna how many lives she saved from that having Anna teach him what he's learned? How do you think Anna is going to find that out?
I honestly think that if they could have, have a character actually like break down and cry, if they did it for anybody, it would be Anna at that point.
Because there's a lot of stuff. Rasputin talked about shooting down the Traveler that Anna prevented him. That he's the reason he didn't blow up the Traveler and take its place. That Rasputin did everything, all his independent thoughts, by himself without Anna knowing. How do you think, let me ask you this about that. How do you think the Vanguard is going to feel when they find out that Anna did that and that Rasputin kept it secret?
A Guardian's past is supposed to stay the past. Anna wasn't even supposed to know she was a Bray. She went digging and went against what the Vanguard told her. So, I mean, they can't really hold what she did in her past against her.
But they're holding Rasputin's past against him, too. So is it fair to have that happen to Rasputin?
Rasputin's not a Guardian, though. He does not apply to what the Guardians follow.
But I was just saying, because he did keep secrets from Anna. Do you think that was the right choice, or do you think he should have told Anna that she saved millions of lives?
I feel like it's the same thing with how Elsie felt and possibly still feels. It's better to leave Anna in the dark with some things versus the possible, and pardon my French, the possible shitstorm that could result if she finds out.
What do you think? Before I ask you this, because this is actually something leading up, what is, so far, based off the end of the storyline, how did you feel about how they ended it this week? The end of the storyline.
I honestly liked it. I did feel it was a little anticlimactic, sadly. But it gave Rasputin a real human side to him.
Well, do you think, because we got word the last 2 weeks there's going to be a mission do you think that's going to conclude the storyline? Because I don't think the storyline is over. There's no way it should access all that information because don't forget, we went to access that classified information that Anna didn't know about. I don't think the end of the storyline is there.
Oh, heck no.
Because we still got to find out how we know about Neptune and stuff. And I don't think the storyline is sufficient because I feel like there's something we're missing. Any thoughts on that?
So, I definitely don't think the whole Rasputin story arc is over. One, because the exoframe isn't finished.
Yep. It still doesn't have legs. It still doesn't have anything compared to what the banner looked like for the season.
And two, I mean, Rasputin's, I feel like it's still going to be there, still going to be an integral part of the story, even after we're done with Xivu Arath.
Well, I have a feeling this is based off of what is going on, because you can kind of pick apart what you feel like is going to happen. I think because of Rasputin, what was said, I think 2 weeks prior, second to last week of the storyline, where Xivu Arath plans on opening a portal above the last city like she did on Torobottle. I think the Traveler is going to get infected by darkness, and the tower is going to be destroyed, and then the helm is going to be our new social space. In doing so, I think we're going to have to do the Lixney event before the tower to rebuild the tower. And the Lixney event was a thing, and if you remember 2 Twabs ago, not Thursday's Twab, but Twab before, they mentioned Archie, aka I call Rick, was going to return to the tower in Season 21. What are your thoughts? Do you think the tower is going to get blown up? We're going to rebuild it?
So, I've been one of those people that I've been hoping since the launch of Destiny 1 we would be moving back to the old tower at some point. As for the helm becoming our new social space, it is nowhere near big enough. That does not mean, though, that we will not have an equivalent social space somewhere in Neo Muna come Lightfall or post-Lightfall.
Okay. Yeah, I've been thinking about it because they're mentioning that there's going to be multiple pets come Season 21. And I'm thinking, with them rebuilding the tower, it's going to have all the animals, like the animals that are out in the wild, come home to the tower. And stuff. That's what I'm just thinking is something, and I'm hoping we go back to the old tower.
Yeah, the old tower just had such an iconic aesthetic to it.
Ooh, this is another good question. Do you think the Crow is going to become the Hunter Vanguard?
I've honestly been thinking that for a while.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it started out as, me thinking they were going to have... Sorry, I'm trying not to yawn. It's kind of late for me.
Yeah, no problem.
Have Drifter step in for a bit, and then Zavala and Ikora kind of mentor Crow into becoming the new Hunter Vanguard.
And I'm actually in agreement with you on that. Crow mentioned it, that he was going to try to become the Hunter Vanguard. And I think that is happening because back when Destiny 1, prior to its release, there was concept that Crow was Hunter Vanguard. And in Cade's Dare, it said, this is to any hunter that kills me. You get all my stuff, including the Hunter Vanguard gig.
Yeah, but he didn't specify that it had to be a hunter that killed him.
No, it said to any hunter that kills him. It said any hunter.
I may have to go back and listen, but I believe it just said, and to whoever killed me.
Let me look right now. But this brings us to my next question. Crow was not a hunter prior to his death. But if it says to any hunter that kills him, he becomes a guardian hunter, do you think that still counts?
I do. I do believe it would still hold true to the Vanguard Dare.
Yeah, because
Sorry, go ahead.
Especially if he remembers his past. If he remembers his path and he knows.
Yeah, which, I mean, thanks to Savathun, he remembers who he was before he became Crow.
Yeah. So while I'm looking for this article and this thing, what do you feel about the bait of all fools that was given to the kid in the hospital? I ask this all the time because it brings back what has happened and how Bungie does like the Guardian Give thing, the iPad stuff. Do you think that was to show people that they do?
So, I remember this from when it first happened. And trust me, I'm not going to correct you to be rude or anything. It wasn't a kid. He was a full-grown man.
Sorry.
Who was losing a battle with cancer. And he was a massive Destiny fan. The Fate of All Fools was supposed to be, I want to say, a Trials of Osiris specific exotic. But I don't know if they never really got it working the way they wanted to. And it eventually became Jade Rabbit. But they did gift him the only Fate of All Fools. And I think it was to show appreciation of, you know, everything that he was going through. But he was still taking time to play what they worked hard to create.
Yeah, and I agree. Thank you for correcting me on that. I don't remember exactly what has happened, as it's been over a long time. But it did come into, if you remember, it did come as No Time to Explain, eventually. Do you remember that?
I do know they used the weapon model for No Time to Explain. But I believe the weapon itself was reworked, as I previously stated, into the Jade Rabbit, which is why the Jade Rabbit has its intrinsic perk, Fate of All Fools.
So I wanted to touch on this because I finally found the article. This one is for any hunter who kills me. Best guess, Marcus Wren. You realize you get my stuff now. All of my stuff, including the Hunter Vanguard gig. Yeah, congratulations, dummy. That's what we call Vanguard Dare. Sucks, doesn't it? Okay, brace yourself for some advice. Hot shot. 1, know your people, like my Nessus scout. Quintus Ree. I like to call her about once a moon, else she gets a little too much night, not enough stalker, you know. 2, keep your weapon sharp. Your job's to watch everyone's back, which means no one's watching yours but you. And 3, start thinking about now what do you want to do for your successor's Vanguard Dare. Because trust me, kid, this gig will kill ya.
I stand corrected. I thought he had just said, to whoever killed me.
Yeah.
But you were correct. It was specifically hunter related.
I think Crow is going to become the Hunter Vanguard because they would be able to use that storyline prior and tie it in. And not to mention, I'm really hoping, because then Crow has a reason to make up for his past.
And I mean, that's what he's been trying to do this entire time.
Yeah. But it might not be enough, because no hunter wants to take his place because you just sit in the tower all day. Which is why they created the Vanguard Dare, in order to make things fun. I have a couple questions that were asked by the community. This is from I. What is your favorite weapon type? And do you have a favorite gun?
Favorite weapon type? If it had to be the one that I have used the most in the past, it'd probably be scout rifles. As for favorite gun, ooh, that is a hard one. I'd honestly probably have to pick Ace of Spades.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, since this podcast is both, and I'm asking questions, I might as well should answer the question too, because we're both doing this together. This is my philosophy. For those who are listening, when there's a question asked, I give him the answer, and then I answer it. That way you both hear everyone's answer. That way you're not just relying on one. My favorite archetype of guns is grenade launchers. I don't have a specific grenade launcher type, but I really like grenade launcher. Favorite weapon, I unfortunately can't decide, but I'll give you 3. There's 3 that I have, top 3. Outbreak Perfected for DPS on day 1. Wither Horde. I love Wither Horde, especially that Blight perk. And number 3, my Ignition Code Blinding Aids GL. I love it. I'm sad that they got nerfed, but they're still really good. I also have another question from Poppy, I think it is. I'm sorry if I mispronounce her name. I'm not very good at pronouncing names. MisterE, do you think Bungie should add a legendary difficulty to old campaigns and allow players to replay them? Or should Bungie create an event to replay Destiny 1 campaigns to relive nostalgia?
So I can answer this in two different parts. When it comes to legendary difficulties for older campaigns, yes, but for Destiny 2 specifically. Those specific campaigns, maybe once, they finally get away from the Xbox One family of consoles, they'll be able to bring some of those old ones forward and give us that legendary modifier. As for the whole D1's campaign thing, what I would personally love to see is just a straight port and update to the graphics for Destiny 1. Have it on current gen consoles, have it on PC. Because I know, sure as heck, right now, they cannot merge the two worlds together.
And it also kind of affects new player experience, too. Because they reference old content, such as the Red War and stuff, but they don't actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And players don't understand because they never played it.
Exactly.
Well, we got a couple other questions before we turn it specifically to you. Thoughts on ban process? Let me make this question more clear for you. Do you think Bungie should add an automated thing where if you get banned, people should know what it is, why you were banned?
With that, I'm honestly going to say no. It's nobody's business but Bungie's on why somebody got anywhere from a 3-hour ban to a perma ban.
Okay. Let me bring this up because this brings up into a little bit of topic. What about the cheaters? Like, it would be able to help recognize if people were banned for cheating. That way, if you play against these people that don't change their name, you can recognize them and then leave.
My thing is, if you're banned for cheating, then you did something stupid enough to get caught in the first place. You either probably got a permaban for it, or you're going to screw up again, you're going to get caught again, and that second time will be a permaban because you clearly didn't learn your lesson.
Yeah, I was just thinking that would help, like, identify the cheaters on the reason they were banned. You were banned for cheating. People know that that user has been cheated. This brings up a good topic. Do you think content creators are held to equal standards no matter what size they are?
I feel, honestly, like content creators, especially the larger ones, i.e. Professor Broman, King Gathalion, those guys are held to a higher moral standard versus somebody like you and me. I mean, granted, I've got a decent, number of followers on here, on Twitter, but, I mean, we're not in as many public eyes as what a lot of the larger creators are. So I don't think that we're necessarily held to as much of a moral obligation as they would be.
It's something I thought about, because people say that some content creators can act racist, homophobic, and stuff, but they get away with it. While if someone is a smaller content creator, they get banned over it. And I get that question a lot over on my Twitch. And I don't know how to respond to it. I actually like hearing your opinion on that.
I definitely feel like the people that, like, just glancing over at my recommended channels right now, I Frostbolt, dude's got 1.5K. I feel like people like him should be held to a higher standard than somebody else I see on my recommended who's only got 18 people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think all content creators should be held equal. I have a question for you, because this is starting to turn more directly into you now. Do you make content in any shape or form?
So I did. I grinded this stuff hard. I hit affiliate, all of that good stuff. And then I went from having a job that, you know, I was off by 1 o'clock every day to now I work in a factory and I get off at 3 o'clock. And between that and having, you know, kids to raise and a house to take care of, it really cut into my content creation time.
I definitely understand that. I'm struggling with that. I used to be steady in high school. At a certain time I was out. And now it's not possible because of college. College classes always range from different times of the day. Let me ask you this question, because this brings up a good thing. Have you ever been hated in the community for something you said in any shape or form?
I'm going to be 110% honest. If I have, it has never been brought to my attention. If I have said something that people didn't like, I would hope they would bring it to my attention, so that way, you know, if I offended anybody, you know, I can apologize, remedy a situation. But if it was something, you know, minor that I said, and this may just be how I feel, you can't please everybody all of the time. Somebody's going to get offended by something you say.
Yeah. And that part I can agree with. Do you have any questions for me you want to ask?
I'm going to be 110%, man, not right off of the top of my head.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask a few things. I wanted to bring this quote, because you bring it up. Do the best you can. You do the best you can. No one can judge you for that. And it brings what you did. Do the best you can to please everyone, but sometimes you can't. And therefore, you have to accept it. And that's the motivational quote for today I wanted to bring up. Well, I want to thank you for stopping by. I had a really good time talking with you. Where can these amazing listeners find you and be able to ask you more questions if they want more questions?
I've got YouTube. It is that MisterE. You can find me on Twitter at that_MisterE, or here on Twitch at that MisterE. I've pretty much got that on every single platform I'm on.
Well, it was great hanging out to you. If you guys have any guest recommendations you guys want to see on the show, all things Destiny, all_things_Destiny over on Twitter, YouTube. We even have Discord. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you guys so much.